Hi, my name is Grace Shady, and for my Learning Theory Part 1, I looked at the constructivist learning theory. While looking through all of my peers' Learning Theory Part 1, I came across Morgan, who did the experiential learning theory. I thought it would be really interesting to compare and contrast these two and see what similarities and differences they had. The constructivist learning theory. The constructivist learning theory states that learners actively construct knowledge through their own individual experiences. So knowledge cannot simply be transmitted to the learner. The learner has to make their own meaning from their own experiences. The learner plays an active role in their own learning. So new knowledge is influenced by their prior knowledge. So students are always going to bring some type of prior knowledge that can be worked on with new knowledge. Secondly, learning is an active, ongoing process. So learning is never stopping, it's constantly going, and students are constantly building up on their knowledge. This theory allows participants to construct their own truths and experiences. Learners need to ask questions, explore, and reflect what they are doing and how their understanding is evolving. So teachers are facilitators of this knowledge. It's acquired through contextual learning such as role-playing and case studies. So in the constructivist learning theory, students aren't learning solely on direct instruction. Next, I'll look at the experiential learning theory, which was already looked at by Morgan. This theory states that knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. People learn through experiences, not simply through direct instruction. So this type of learning can be really beneficial and helpful for both teachers and students to understand their strengths, their skills, and how they can go about learning in the future. So it's great for students because they learn to be self-sufficient and be self-aware with their learning. So they're able to kind of control their learning more once they understand how they learn best. So students have the opportunity during experiential learning to work hands-on with their peers. And working with peers can be really beneficial for their social skills and for their academic skills. This is also helpful for teachers because teachers can match their teaching styles to meet various needs and learning preferences of their students once they learn through experiential learning what those are. So there's 4 modes of learning in experiential learning theory. There's concrete experiences, reflective observations, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. First, I want to take a look at the constructivist learning theory. The biggest thing that stands out of the constructivist learning theory is that the student is in charge of their learning, and the teacher is there to help facilitate and guide the student. This is different than the experiential learning theory because they put a huge emphasis on the student and the student's construction of knowledge through their prior knowledge to help them build on their new knowledge. I want to jump over to experiential learning. So experiential learning, the biggest thing that stood out to me as being different than the constructivist learning theory is that it was a lot more structured and it had an emphasis on the 4 modes of learning as well as an emphasis on 4 types of learners that will emerge from this learning theory while experiencing things, which the constructivist learning theory did not. So the 4 types of learners in experiential learning are the divergers, and these students learn best from people, and they're very people-oriented. Next are the assimilators. So the assimilators are great at understanding a wide range of information, and they can take this information and narrow it down into a simpler form. Next are the convergers. So convergers test out new theories and ideas in practical situations. And lastly, the accommodators. So students that are accommodators like coming up with a plan and carrying it out, and they really like to form new experiences as they're learning. So these are the 4 main learners that will result from the experiential learning theory. Now I want to discuss some similarities that I noticed when looking at both of these frameworks. So the first was that both learning theories are students learn through doing. So in the constructivist learning theory, students are learning by constructing their own knowledge or doing. Same with experiential. This framework talks about how students learn best from experiences that they're actually participating in that they're experiencing. Next, students construct their knowledge from doing hands-on activities and experiences. So similar to students learning through doing, both of these frameworks talk about how students are progressing and how their knowledge is building by doing hands-on activities or by learning through experiences, learning through group work. Constructivist theory talks about how students learn through role play, case studies. So they're both very similar in that way. Next, both theories have an emphasis on exploration and reflection. So both the constructivist and the experiential learning theory talk about how that students learn best from exploring. So that's why in the constructivist framework, the teacher's role is more of a facilitator or a guider, because students should be exploring their knowledge. They should be constructing that knowledge kind of on their own, in their own way. And similar to experiential learning, each student's experience is going to be really different. So they must explore to get that knowledge, to get that experience. And reflection. Both frameworks talk about how reflection is really important to help the student grow and learn from whatever they just experienced.